Welcome, you have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be BMF Season 3, Episode 3. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, let's get into it. So this episode was another episode, a filler, kind of pushing the season forward. So the beginning of the episode, they always got a throwback. It got the dad dancing with playing music with Meech. The dad was in the music. If you don't know the story of BMF, the dad ends up having a hit record that made the charts or something like that eventually around 97, 98. So of course we in 92 right now. So this episode starts off with Meech rolling up to Stack's house, and they got robbed. Or that's where Meech was staying, they got robbed. But it doesn't really look like they got robbed. It looked like Stacks had something to do with it. It was like a setup robbery or whatever. So this triggered Meech to call in his dad, like pretty much saying like he need to get now of course if you know the BMF story, they had tons of mansions all over that were named specific names and stuff like that. That's how they were able to move better and be more safer being in those type neighborhoods with mansions and stuff like that. So he called in his dad to come in, and this is where he pretty much want to get a mansion, but he don't have no legit income. Of course the dad does, and he had the woman that he was cool with real estate fudge up the papers and the paycheck stub so that they could get cleared for the house. And the dad was standoffish, pretty much like, nah, I don't know if I want to do that. Meanwhile, back in Detroit, you had Terry reach out to Markeisha, and she pretty much hitting him up, talking about the kids is out of town, he should come over. He pretty much like, I got my family to deal with, and pretty much blew her off. So she kind of had that shocked look on her. Meanwhile, Terry was proceeding to do him. And so later in the episode, when he goes home, CPS rolls up to his house, pretty much said they had children that was unfit, smoking, everything like that, and they was going to do an investigation. So instantly LaWanda thought Markeisha had something to do with it. Back in Atlanta, you had Stacks pretty much he pulling rank on Meech. Meech, even though they took a hit, Meech went and sold his Rolexes and everything like that to get money, and he went around giving everybody bread so that they could stay afloat, even though the stash house just got robbed. Meanwhile, Stacks is like, nah, I don't want the money, like I'm ready to go ride. And so Stacks and Meech had a back and forth. And Stacks pretty much like, well, listen, I'm going to roll and I'm going to take my people with me. His people pretty much look like, nah, you ain't never sold no soldier jury so that we can still eat. We stand with Meech. I'm with Atlanta all day. And so one thing that you always hear with Meech, he ain't never trip on money. He always believed in showing love. And so that's what allowed him to keep growing and keep growing. So they got this Jack the Ripper ball, and this is supposed to be a ball with all the DJs from all over show up to this place. It used to be back in the day in Meech's father's time. It was a place where you go and meet stars and listen to good music and stuff like that. Now it's where the dope boys meet up and network. So Meech thought about taking his pop, so he told his pop wait at the hotel, and the pop showed up at the Jack the Ripper ball. Meanwhile, Meech is trying to network. In comes the character J-Bo. Now 50 Cent always, I keep saying 50 Cent, well, you can say the casting of like this group, we always say 50 Cent, but we don't, we just assume it's 50 Cent. But the casting for this always bring back older actors from that played in other older shows. So in the series The Wire, the character Bodie was a popular character on there, and he brought him, that actor, onto BMF to play J-Bo. So I forgot what they call him on this series, but J-Bo is the character that's from St. Louis that comes in. So he meets him at the Jack the Ripper event, and he pretty much saying that, they heard they was getting and doing, making moves, and Meech was like, pretty much, I gotta come out there and see what y'all doing out there first before we could do business. But he already looking to expand. So it went back to Detroit, and in Detroit, Terry is having problems because people don't respect him. They respect Meech, and they don't like the way Terry really do business. So Terry's kind of struggling, making moves, and so the product is not there yet. And so some of the people met at Terry's restaurant, they don't like the way he doing business, so they want to pretty much roll or whatever. So half of them left, half of them stayed. Terry pretty much was able to talk one of them down. So also in Detroit, Detective Bryant meets with Henrietta. Remember, we met her last episode, and she got a shipment. He needs to make money for his son. She pretty much tells him, look, we need a shipment to go, and how do we get it without the cops getting there? And he pretty much said, you need to have a vehicle that the cops ain't gonna mess with. So that vehicle was being tailed by BMF. And Terry had his crew pretty much to roll up, and they was gonna get the product off of the shipment. But when they rolled up, they already took a shot at the driver. Bryant was there. They didn't know Bryant was there, so they was taking shots back and forth. One of the driver that was in there with Henrietta, which was her people's, he got killed. Bryant was having a shootout right then and there. Detective Yu came in, and she started getting in a shootout. She joined the party, but she took a shot to the shoulder. Meanwhile, Bryant jumped in the truck and drove off, but she seen him. And when he got back to Henry, Bryant pretty much told her, that her henchman got killed. Now, they showed her, Henry, with her cousin earlier, and he was stressing that the boy got killed. And so Bryant went to go see his son in the detention center, and pretty much seen his son was bruised up. And he pretty much told his son, help is on the way. I'm going to look after you. Meanwhile, back at Atlanta, they had the Jack the Rapper event, and the dad is meeting people, talking to people, and he ended up talking to a guy that from Miami. He's part of the Miami Killers, but the dad don't know this at the time. So he's befriending him and talking with him. Meanwhile, Meech is networking. So of course some of this is true, but a lot of this is based off of they stretching the truth. So instantly, man, they got a Tupac character on here. So it's supposed to be Tupac. Got the bandana with the bald head, the tie, and everything like that. He having a conversation with Meech about life and music and everything like that. We don't know if this really happened, but they threw it in there for whatever. And if anybody watched the Country Wayne channel with his skits and everything, that he one of the characters' name is Rico on there, and they got Rico playing as Tupac. So who knows, man? So at the Jack the Ripper concert, they was speaking of Luke getting his music played through the airways and everything like that. So that was funny that they threw that character in there playing Tupac. Meanwhile, back in the Detroit, Lucille is with her cousin at cooking for the church, for the bakery. And the cousin's telling her, look, Charles is in Atlanta. You need to go have a date with the doctor, see if there's something there. The doctor gave Lucille he remembered like a piece of candy or something that she liked from back in the day. And he had it for waiting. He gave the church $10,000. And, he's really into Lucille. And so Lucille is trying to be faithful still. She's still married. Pretty much saying if Just because Charles did it don't mean that I do it. But she did go on a date with him. Meanwhile, of course, it shifts back to Atlanta, and instantly the young girl that I gotta get her name. Do you, even if you know who the young girl is that Meech that said that she appeared in another season. Now she's back here. He met her in Atlanta. She's part of the team. I gotta think of who she is, but I'll find out who she is. If you know, leave a comment. However, she pretty much the store she worked out, the symbol that the man that was talking to Block, who was talking to his dad, pretty much said that's a voodoo symbol. And Meech instantly started looking around like pretty much that's MK. And he approached and told his pop, "Hey pop, Spike Lee is somewhere else. You need to go over there." And the dad was like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm satisfied right here." And so the man Block pretty much told him, "Yo, you should listen to your son." And so they was trying, he like get him out there and trying to get Charles to leave, but he was like, "No, I'm staying firm." So they let him stay. So Block and Meech was having a back and forth, and he pretty much told Meech like, "Listen, you think I'm gonna just let you walk in my city and take over or whatever?" And so Meech was pretty much saying, I did all this to sniff you out." So when they had back and forth, Block showed him, hey, he was holding. He was like, "I thought security was strapped in here." He said, "I own security." And he pretty much told Meech that he let Meech know that Greenie, he got Greenie in his back pocket. So of course Greenie tells him information on Meech. So that pissed Meech off. Meanwhile, a fight broke out. One of Block's men pulled out the knife, and it was just rumbling from that point on. And it showed back and forth with everybody fighting, and Meech was getting down. Even the Tupac character was getting down. So everybody made out safe, little bumps and bruises or whatever. And Meech and Charles drove off and had a conversation. And he was just pretty much saying like this is on the trailer clip. Everybody was saying that he was telling his dad pretty much like he the first Flannery that can control his destiny. He's seen his dad struggle all his life. He wasn't trying to go there. He's chasing his dreams. He pretty much told his dad, you couldn't chase your dreams because you had to basically take care of the family. So this is going to be Charles's avenue where he could start chasing his dreams again, doing music, because he's into music by doing this. I mean, he didn't want to do it, but by him, how he's going to get implemented, because he ended up, when Meech and all of them went to jail, he went to jail too. So, but this shows the signs how he get implemented and he getting down, become part of the team. So nevertheless, he through that conversation, he pretty much signed the papers for Meech to get the house. And Meech pretty much shook his hand and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure I take care of the family, make sure I'm gonna take care of you and mom." And he was like, "Well, you got everything you want." And I'm basically saying I'm headed back to Detroit. Back in Detroit, Terry went to go see Markeisha, pretty much telling Markeisha, he had his own little spot. And she, Terry's fond of her, so she wills him back in or whatever. He didn't even think about LaWanda at that moment. And right when he was about to get busy, Lucille knocks on the door. He lets her in. Markeisha leaves, and pretty much Lucille tells him, "Listen, you tells him you need to get focused. CPS could take your child now." Where this is touching to Lucille because she grew up in foster care. So this is touching her, like, you can't let these kids go out like that, and you need to get instead of running behind Markeisha, you need to focus on your family. And he hugged her, pretty much let her know, like, he not gonna let it happen. So that's pretty much the episode. Then we talked about Bryant seeing his son, the shootout, and that's pretty much how it ended. I'm thinking I'm missing one last scene. Oh, one last scene. Bryant coming out of the jail after seeing his son. Terry met up with him, and Terry pretty much was like, "I heard you getting back in the game. You need to roll with me like you was with Meech." And he was like, Terry, Bryant was pretty like, "Well, a man needs some money. What other options would I have?" And then Terry pretty much told him like, either you getting with the team or you gonna get rolled over. And so Bryant just walked off and then looked back at Terry and said, "Well, I choose to get rolled over." So eventually, we do know Terry is going to get things in order and get the business and start moving. It's just that he's going through his own struggles because Meech, everybody look at Meech as the king of Detroit, and Terry was under him. They don't really respect Terry. Eventually, he going to gain that. That's what it's starting to, because Terry do business differently. It's starting to plant the seed to show how they going to start shifting in different ways, and start to see how you got BMF will pretty much be Meech, and what is it, 263 will be Terry. I think that's the name of his crew. Something is two something. I think it's 263 or one of them. Or 268. You know in the comments, but nevertheless, it's starting to plant to see how the separation start to come. But other than that, it was a decent episode. Nothing too much. Just push the story forward. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Till next time.